Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm going to break down this animation that I made in Cavalry and show you just how I made it. So the first thing I'm going to do with Control period is pull up this menu to add a layer, and we want a background shape. I already have a palette selected. I'm going to go and make this blue color like you already saw and know because I've showed the final product ahead of time. The magic of editing. So then we're going to hold Alt and left click on the text shape. And I'm going to put in all caps the word spins. Don't hit enter because you do not want a second line in there. I keep doing it out of habit. And I want to align center and vertically align it. And then just over here, make sure it is aligned to the comp. I forgot to change the comp settings, so you can see how polished and refined I am at this. So one thing I want to do, I want to actually put this at 12 FPS. I am going to keep it 1920 by 1080. The playback range, I'm going to do that 120. And frame range, I tend to leave as a bigger number than the playback range. That's kind of problematic. You do as you want. I find that having the extra frames for some reason makes things loop better. It could just be a perceived thing. It could be a real thing. I don't fully understand that yet. So anyway, back to making things. So one thing I want to do is add a background to this text. We'll click on background. We'll click this plus here, and we'll leave that color for now, but we will be removing it. As you see, all of these inputs are yellow. That means they're golden yellow. Kind of. It's a nice color, which just means that they're connected and driven by these on the text layer. So rather than disconnecting that to adjust the height of the background, I'm going to just add a manipulator, and we'll parent that by drag and dropping it. And we'll bring this down until it kind of crunches on the thing. Okay, so first animation we're going to add is an oscillator on the font size. So we'll go right click, add behavior oscillator, and we'll drag that there to parent it. And you can just go in here and set the text sizes that you want. But I prefer, at least in this instance, working with type, to add an expression, just multiplying it by 100. So that way I can use the oscillator as like a scaling multiplier instead. So on the animation that I'm referencing, did 0.5 for the minimum and 2 for the maximum, and we may adjust that further. We'll see. Well, let's go color this. I want the text layer to be a nice lighter blue and the background to be the background color. And let's change the font to Montserrat, and we'll make it extra bold. And now we have some movement. Now this, if we skip to the end, you see that jump, it doesn't loop yet. To fix that, we're going to use a Jsmath or JavaScript math utility. We'll just drag that down to the bottom. We're going to add to the array here. And I found on the Cavalry Discord, which if you're not in there, you should join there. There's a lot of great information, a lot of great people. In the Discord server, credit goes to Yevgeny for this formula to make the oscillator loop. But simply just get a Jsmath. I like to put in 2 inputs here, and I'll paste in the formula. We'll go over it in a second. For the first object, we're going to rename that to loops, and the second, we're going to rename that to duration. Now, 20 times Math.PI times n0, which will pull this value over, and then n1 plus 1, so the duration plus 1 frame. So you can just type a value here, 120, which you could argue is better or not. I've been connecting it. One problem with that, though, is if you are someone that likes to shorten the playback range to view things, it's going to mess with your loops every time. So you may just want to manually input the duration. I typically, in Cavalry, don't mess with the playback range, so I tend to leave it just connected and, in a sense, procedural. So For loops, I know I'm going to do 4, but you can always change it up and mess with that. Now that we have, we'll check that, and that still not looping because I didn't attach the oscillator to the timescale, or the Jsmath to the timescale. So now we have a nice 4 loops of the oscillator, and we can move on to the duplicator. So go put this in a duplicator, go to point, and I ended up using about 14 in my other animation, so we're going to go at that same point. It was enough to kind of sell the effect too few, and it looks spaced out and doesn't look as good. So shape time offset, I'm going to add a tiny amount of stagger because I think it just gives it this nice little feeling of like kind of like overlapping animation with it being offset. So we'll put the maximum to 1, keep the minimum to 0. And I know I'm going to want to reverse this graph. As you can see, it kind of is putting things behind it a little bit, but it'll become more obvious in a moment. And the shape rotation, we're going to add a stagger. And then on that shape rotation, we will add an oscillator on the maximum. I found that negative values looked better, so I'm going to just reuse what I did. Oops. I'm going to reuse what I did in the other one, except I'm going to forget numbers. And we're going to attach this JavaScript math to timescale. You know, let's rename this since it's kind of just sitting out there and not having a very clear purpose. Or, you know, in a more complex project, you may forget that this is what it is supposed to be. So oscillator, timescale, cool. So when you do this timescale for looping thing, you can change the frequency and it does affect it. But I'm just going to leave it at 10. I like how it looks. We're not going to get too complex with that there. So now we're getting, you can kind of see the rotation happening now. But we're not getting that like exaggerated tunneling kind of effect yet. So we need to go to the scale and add another stagger. And we'll just drag that into there. And on the maximum, add another oscillator. And the minimum, we just want 0.75. That's what I found to look nice. But you should play around with your own values. Don't just copy what I input. Copy the idea and the technique and try to make something with that. You'll learn so much more than just replicating this one for one. And there's probably things I do that's not as efficient or as well done as someone else might know to do. We're all learning and building onto each other's knowledge. So just keep exploring and having fun and seeing what you come up with, utilizing, you know, whatever aspects or ideas you learn from this. There's my random unsolicited advice for my video, which is very typical of me. So where are we at? So for the shape scale, we add an oscillator to it. That way we can scale each instance individually. And then on that stagger and the maximum, we add an oscillator, which again, don't forget to attach your time scale to it. And for this one, just want a minimum 0 and a maximum 5. And okay, that's not quite what we want. So let's go to the stagger graph because it's putting the biggest in the front. We want the biggest in the back, so we're going to reflect that. Okay, cool. Yeah, hope that makes sense. Hope you learned something. I'm very, very new to recording and making tutorials, but I'm trying to do it as a way to learn, to get uncomfortable, and to contribute. So let me know any feedback you have, anything you might want to learn. I'm going to put links to documentation on oscillators and stagger in the description, just so you have a little bit deeper of a dive, and hope you enjoyed it.